You can care deeply about someone and still need to let them go. It's one of the hardest emotional truths we'll ever face. That moment when your heart says, hold on, but life, reality, or even self-respect says release. Maybe they changed. Maybe they never truly saw your value. Maybe you're the only one who's been holding things together, whatever the reason. You're here because you're tired of being emotionally tied to someone who isn't tied to you in the same way anymore. And I get it. Detaching from someone you care about isn't easy. It's like pulling your soul out of something that once felt like home. But that's exactly where Stoicism becomes powerful. Not because it teaches you to shut off your emotions, but because it helps you master them so they stop mastering you. The Stoics believed that peace comes from focusing only on what you can control, not from clinging to what you've already lost. They faced heartbreak, exile, betrayal, and loss, and still walked with dignity and purpose. And today, you're going to learn how to do the same. This video will walk you through 10 Stoic habits, not just theories, but real mental shifts and practices that will help you emotionally detach from someone with strength, not bitterness. So, if your mind keeps circling back to them, if you feel like you can't move forward, or if your peace feels hostage to someone who isn't even thinking about you anymore, this might be the exact guide you need right now. But before we begin, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video, so you can help me continue spreading knowledge. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do so, and activate the bell, so you don't miss any future videos on Stoicism and self-improvement. All right, take a breath. This isn't just about forgetting someone. It's about remembering yourself and rebuilding a version of you that doesn't need them to feel whole anymore. Let's begin. Rule number 1. Understand the nature of attachment. You might think your pain comes from the person walking away, but often, the real pain comes from what you attach to them. We don't just fall in love with people, we fall in love with what they represent to us. Security, comfort, validation, sometimes even our identity. And that's why it hurts so much when they leave, because it's not just them you're losing. It's everything you thought your life would be with them. But here's the thing the Stoics understood so well. Nothing truly belongs to you, not your job, not your possessions, and not the people in your life. The philosopher Epictetus said, "Never say about anything I have lost it, but only I have given it back." He wasn't being cold. He was reminding us that people enter our lives by nature, by fate, and they leave the same way. So why cause yourself extra suffering by pretending you own something that was never yours to keep? Imagine holding water in your hands. You grip tighter and tighter because you're afraid to lose it. But the tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. That's what emotional attachment looks like when it turns toxic. Stoicism teaches us to love what we have while we have it, but to also be ready to release it when it's time. Now, this doesn't mean don't care. It means don't cling, because clinging is resistance, and resistance creates suffering. When you understand the nature of attachment, you stop confusing love with possession. You stop confusing connection with control. And most importantly, you stop expecting people to fill the gaps that only self-awareness and healing can fill. So here's something to reflect on today. Were you really in love with them? Or were you in love with who you were when you were with them? Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt like someone was a part of you and then suddenly they were gone? You're not alone in that feeling. But you don't have to stay stuck in it either, because once you understand how attachment works, you can begin to unhook from it and return to your own center, and that is where your real peace begins. Rule number 2, focus only on what you can control. One of the most exhausting things we do after a breakup is try to figure out why they pulled away, why they changed, why they stopped showing up like they used to. We replay conversations in our heads. We overthink every word, every look, every silence. And underneath all of that is this hidden belief that maybe, just maybe, if we understood it all, we could fix it. But here's the Stoic truth, and it's one of the most freeing truths you'll ever hear. You are not responsible for how someone else chooses to live, love, or leave. You can't control someone's heart. You can't control whether they appreciate your effort, whether they grow with you or grow away from you. All you control is you, your actions, your responses, your mindset, your healing. The Stoics taught something called the dichotomy of control, and it's as relevant now as it was 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that's the shift. You stop obsessing over the parts of the story that weren't yours to write. You stop editing someone else's behavior in your imagination. You stop fighting what's already happened and start responding to what you can do next. Letting go isn't giving up. It's just choosing to free your energy from a war. You were never meant to fight. You can't force someone to see your worth. But you can choose to stop shrinking to be seen. You can't control if they stay or leave. But you can control whether you chase or heal. The moment you start pouring that energy inward, everything shifts. You begin to breathe again. You begin to rebuild again. You begin to remember that you're not powerless. You were just pouring power into the wrong place. So here's what I want to ask you. Tell me in the comments, what's one thing you've been trying to control that was never really in your hands to begin with? Because once you stop trying to fix what you can't control, you finally start fixing you, and that is where real strength begins. Rule number 3, practice voluntary discomfort to strengthen detachment. It's easy to stay calm when everything feels good, but Stoicism isn't about surviving when life is comfortable. It's about being steady when life punches you in the gut. One of the most powerful tools the Stoics used was something called voluntary discomfort. They didn't wait for pain to show up. They trained for it just on purpose. Seneca, one of the great Stoic minds, would sleep on the floor, eat plain food, and walk the streets in worn-out clothes, even though he was wealthy and respected. Why? Because he understood something that most people avoid. Comfort weakens us. Discomfort prepares us. When you're emotionally attached to someone, it's not just them you miss. It's the comfort you built around them, the late-night calls, the morning messages, the sense of being wanted, seen, needed. When that's gone, the silence feels brutal. But here's the truth. Silence won't break you. Avoiding it will. That's where voluntary discomfort comes in. Sit in that silence. Without music, without scrolling, without distractions. Feel what you've been running from. Walk alone, without texting them. Spend a weekend without checking their profile. Sleep without rereading old messages. Not to punish yourself, but to prove something to yourself. You can handle this. You don't have to numb every ache. You don't have to fill every empty moment. You're not going to dissolve because they're not there. Every time you lean into that discomfort, you reclaim your power from the person who left. You stop being afraid of being alone, because you're finally learning how to be with yourself. And yeah, it's awkward. It's uncomfortable. It might feel lonely at first, but over time, that discomfort, it turns into emotional muscle. It turns into self-respect. It turns into freedom. So try it. Skip the comfort crutch today. Sit in the silence. Feel the sting and come out stronger than yesterday. Tell me in the comments, have you ever done something uncomfortable just to grow through pain? Because the more you choose discomfort on purpose, the less life can knock you off balance when it throws pain your way. Rule number 4, reframe the pain. It's a lesson, not a curse. When someone walks out of your life, it's easy to label the whole experience as a mistake, a waste of time, a chapter you wish you could delete. But the Stoics had a different way of seeing pain. They didn't ask, why is this happening to me? They asked, what is this trying to teach me? Pain to them wasn't a punishment. It was a teacher. Uncomfortable, yes, but powerful. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That means your heartbreak, that heavy, aching emptiness in your chest, that is the way forward. You don't heal by avoiding the pain. You heal by learning from it. What did this relationship reveal about you? What blind spots did it expose? What parts of yourself did you hand over too easily? This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about claiming yourself. Every person you connect with leaves something behind. A lesson, a mirror, a scar that turns into strength. And if you're brave enough to look at your pain not as a curse, but as a wake-up call, then guess what? You're not broken. You're leveling up. You're becoming the kind of person who sees heartbreak as fuel, who sees rejection as redirection, who sees endings as a setup for better beginnings. So next time the pain flares up, don't. Just ask, why did this happen? Ask, what is this showing me that I needed to see? Tell me in the comments. What's one powerful lesson you've learned from someone who hurt you? Because once you start reframing your pain, you stop running from it and start rising from it. Rule number 5. Use daily journaling to detox emotionally. Sometimes the heaviest weight you carry is the stuff you never say out loud. All those thoughts you overthink, all the feelings you pretend you're not feeling, all the things you wish you could tell them, but never got the chance to. It builds up, and eventually, it poisons your peace. That's why Stoics believed in the power of reflection. Not just thinking about life, but writing through it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote his thoughts down privately every single day. His book Meditations wasn't meant for anyone else to read. It was just him talking to himself, processing his emotions, grounding himself in wisdom. You can do the same. Journaling isn't about writing pretty sentences. It's about getting the chaos out of your head and putting it somewhere safe. Every time you write, you empty a little more of the emotional weight. You stop carrying conversations you'll never have. You stop rehearsing arguments in your mind. You stop trying to make sense of the past by dragging it into your future. And when you journal from a Stoic mindset, you ask better questions. Not why did they hurt me, but what did I learn about my boundaries? Not why didn't they stay, but what kind of love do I want to welcome next time? You write not to vent, but to cleanse. So make it a habit, even 5 minutes a night. Ask yourself, what did I cling to today? What drained my energy? What did I do well, even if no one noticed? And just like that, you stop bleeding emotionally into your day, and you start becoming emotionally lighter, clearer, stronger. Tell me in the comments, do you journal already? Or would you be open to starting? Because the moment you start listening to yourself on paper, you stop needing someone else to understand you. Rule number 6, stop replaying the past. Break the loop. You're lying in bed. It's quiet, and suddenly that memory shows up. The conversation, the way they looked at you, the moment things shifted. You don't want to think about it, but your mind presses play again. And just like that, you're back there, feeling everything you already lived once. like it's happening all over again. This is one of the most dangerous traps after emotional loss. Mental replay, reliving the pain, replaying the what-ifs, and rehearsing 1,000 versions of what you wish you said. The Stoics had a clear stance on this. Don't be a prisoner of the past. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you keep replaying the past, you're letting old events rent space in your present. You're feeding pain that's already been paid. Here's something to sit with. The event happened once, but you're the one choosing to relive it every day. Not consciously, of course, but it's a habit. And like any habit, you can break it. Next time your mind starts running old tapes, try this. Interrupt the pattern. Literally say to yourself, "No, that moment is over." Then shift your focus to your breath, to your body, to the room around you, to something you're grateful for, no matter how small. You're not erasing the past. You're just choosing not to worship your wounds, because every time you press play on that memory, you press pause on your healing. It's not easy, but you're not weak for remembering. You're just human, and you're strong enough to break the loop. Tell me in the comments, how often do you catch yourself replaying something you wish you could forget? The more aware you become, the more control you take back, and healing begins when repetition ends. Rule number 7, leave with dignity. Don't chase or beg. There comes a moment in every heartbreak where you feel that urge to reach out. One more message, one more explanation, one more chance to be heard or seen. But here's the brutal truth most people avoid. If someone wanted to stay, they wouldn't have left. And the more you chase, the more you chip away at your own self-respect. The Stoics believed in something sacred, dignity, not ego, not pride, but a calm, quiet strength that refuses to collapse, even when your heart is shaking. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free," and nothing is braver than choosing to walk away with your head held high, even when your heart is begging you to turn back. Leaving with dignity doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you cared, but not at the cost of your self-worth. Think about it. Begging someone to love you never made them love you more. Explaining yourself over and over never made them understand what they refused to see. Chasing after closure only handed them more control, while you stayed stuck. What Stoicism teaches is this: let your silence speak for you. Let your absence say what your words couldn't. Let your boundaries teach them what your begging never did, because chasing doesn't bring them back. It just drags you further from yourself. And begging? It's a transaction that empties your soul for something you can't buy back. You have to ask yourself, do I want to be remembered as someone who lost themselves for love, or someone who remembered their value when it mattered most? There's power in not responding. There's healing in letting the door close. There's growth in knowing that the most stoic thing you can do is walk away, not out of hate, but out of self-respect. And if they didn't see your worth when you were soft and open, don't give them access to you when you're rebuilding and strong. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to choose dignity over desire? Because the moment you stop chasing them is the moment you start finding you again. Rule number 8, find stability within, not in other people. If your peace depends on someone else showing up, loving you the right way, texting you back, staying consistent, then your peace was never really yours to begin with. And that's the trap so many of us fall into. We start anchoring our emotional stability in people who are just passing through our lives. One day they say all the right things and you feel whole. The next day they pull away, and suddenly your world feels like it's crashing. But the Stoics had a rule: never let your happiness be borrowed from something you don't control. Epictetus said, When you are attached to something not in your control, suffering will follow. That includes people, because people are unpredictable, emotional, complicated, just like you. So what happens when they change? When they stop showing up? When they no longer give you what you used to depend on, you collapse. Unless you've already built something unshakable inside. Building inner stability means you become your own safe place, your own source of calm, your own reminder that no matter who stays or who leaves, you'll still rise the next morning. You'll still move forward. You'll still be enough. That's the Stoic version of strength, not being untouched by pain, but being unmoved by chaos. You don't have to stop caring about people, but you do need to stop anchoring your emotional survival to them. Start creating small moments every day where you don't need anyone else to regulate your state of mind. A quiet walk, breath work, journaling, silence, self-reflection. These are the bricks you use to build your emotional home, a place no one can tear down. Tell me in the comments. What's one habit you can build to stay grounded, even when people around you change? Because once you stop outsourcing your stability, you start owning your power. Rule number 9, turn pain into purpose. What if your heartbreak wasn't the end of the story, but the beginning of something you never would have found otherwise? It's hard to believe when you're in it. When you're crying in your car, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling like everything you were building just collapsed. But the Stoics believed something powerful. Nothing is ever wasted unless you refuse to use it. They saw pain as raw material, the fire that forges the person you're meant to become. Epictetus was born a slave, beaten, treated as nothing. But instead of letting that break him, he turned it into wisdom that outlived empires. That's what you're being invited to do, not to pretend you're not hurting, but to give that hurt a purpose. Let it teach you who you are when everything else is stripped away. Let it show you what kind of love you'll never accept again. Let it fuel the next chapter, the business you build, the peace you claim, the version of yourself you meet in the mirror, who no longer waits to be chosen. When something breaks your heart, you get two choices: collapse or create. Collapse means you let the pain define you. Create means you use the pain to refine you. Write the book, start the podcast, take the trip, get in the best shape of your life. Help someone who's been through what you just survived. And most of all, decide that this will not be the chapter that ends you. This is the one that builds you. So take that energy, all of it, the anger, the grief, the confusion, and turn it into fuel, because pain without purpose will crush you. But pain with purpose, it will change everything. Tell me in the comments, what's something powerful you're thinking about creating because of what you've been through? You're not done. You're just being reshaped into someone even stronger. Rule number 10, amor fati, love your fate. Sometimes we accept what happened, but we still hate that it happened. We move on, at least on the outside, but deep down we resent the loss. We carry it like a scar that still burns. That's where most people stop. But not the Stoics. They had one final, powerful rule: amor fati. It means love your fate. Not just accept it, not just tolerate it. Love it, even the hard parts, even the heartbreaks, even the things you wish you could go back and erase. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." That's the image. Your heartbreak is fuel. Your disappointment, your loss. Your grief, it's not in the way. It is the way. You are the fire. and everything that's been thrown into your life is there to make you burn brighter. You didn't fail. You didn't waste your time. You didn't get played or broken or thrown away. You got redirected. Maybe they left you to make room for someone better. Or maybe they left you to give you space to become someone better. What happened was always meant to happen. You just didn't understand the purpose listed yet. But here's what changes everything. When you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. When you stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "Thank you." Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the red flags. Thank you for the rejection that protected me. Thank you for the silence that forced me to hear myself again. Because the pain you're feeling, it's not just heartbreak, it's transformation. Amor fati isn't about being numb, it's about being wise. It's about trusting that life is never random, that even the worst parts of your story were shaping the strongest parts of you. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. Can you love even this? Not because it felt good, but because it's turning you into someone powerful, peaceful, and unshakable. Tell me in the comments, what's one painful moment in your life that you now see as a gift? Because when you learn to love your fate, you stop wishing for a different past and start building an unstoppable future. You made it through all 10 Stoic rules. And if you've listened this far, that tells me one thing loud and clear. You're not here to just survive in pain. You're here to transform through it. And that's exactly what Stoicism offers. Not a cold way to shut off your emotions, but a strong, clear path to stop being ruled by them. You've learned how to understand attachment, how to focus on what you can control, how to sit with discomfort, to reframe pain, to journal, to stop mental replays, to choose dignity, to build stability within yourself, and to turn pain into purpose. But most importantly, you've learned how to stop resisting what happened and start loving the fact that it did, because this wasn't just about them. It was always about you, about how you show up for yourself, how you respond when love ends, how you rise when things fall apart. You are no longer someone who begs for closure or waits for someone else to heal your heart. You are someone who faces the silence and finds peace inside it. You are someone who lets go, not in anger, but with gratitude. Gratitude for the experience. Gratitude for the clarity. Gratitude for the version of you that's now waking up, wiser, sharper, and more in control than ever before. Tell me in the comments, which of these 10 rules spoke to you the loudest? Which one hit exactly where you needed it to? And if you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss future insights on Stoicism and self-improvement. You've already taken a powerful step just by being here. Now go take the next one. Not for them, but for you. I'll see you in the next video.